myself. This is the story of my life. Y'all, I talk on mute all the time on Zoom. So I work at this place called NAMI St. Louis. Again, NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I'm the director of programs over there. And a little bit about me, like who's this random lady? I went to school to be a counselor. It's part of what I do. It's part of who I am. It is not what I'm here for today. It is not what I do with NAMI. So when I speak for NAMI, I always like to tell people we're going to shove Counselor Jessie in the corner. And I'm just here to talk to you all as everyday regular Jessie. Right? So regular everyday Jessie. I'm also an artist. I love to draw and color and paint and be creative. It really helps me when I get stressed out. I have two of the cutest puppy dogs that y'all have ever seen in your whole entire lives. And if anyone wants to see those pictures, please let me know because I love to show them off. And then one other fun fact about me that I like to share with people is that I am someone who lives with a mental health condition. So I have anxiety disorders that I live with. Right? And that's part of what we do with NAMI. So everything that we do at NAMI is peer led. So it's being led by people who live with mental health conditions themselves or are a friend or family member of someone who does. Right? So I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit. So NAMI is a national organization. We're actually the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. We have 3 levels to NAMI. There is our national level organization that's located in Washington, D.C. And so they really focus on advocacy, mental health research, and developing and maintaining those signature programs that we offer. Our second level are the state offices that we have. So each state has a state office, and those are usually located in the capitals. So NAMI, Missouri is located in Jeff City, and their main purpose is really to just, again, advocate with those lawmakers and all I heard is something about Denise's office, and I want to know more. So really advocating with those lawmakers and supporting the local affiliates. And so NAMI St. Louis, we are one of those local affiliates. There are over 600 local affiliates throughout the country. So there are NAMIs all over the place. So NAMI St. Louis, what we do, we really focus in on that education, advocacy, support, and awareness. And thank you. Okay, cool. Okay, so I don't have to talk so loud. Can you still hear me okay? Okay, cool. So really focusing in on those things. So NAMI St. Louis, we cover St. Louis City and the surrounding 6 counties in Missouri. So that is St. Louis County, St. Charles County, Lincoln, Warren, Franklin, and Jefferson County. So that whole little kind of like metro area in Missouri. And if you know of somebody who is outside of this area that could benefit from some of the things I'm going to talk about, if you go to NAMI.org, you can find your local affiliates there too. So, all right, so why is it important? Why is it important that we're doing this work? Why is it important that we are talking about this stuff? And you can see from the statistics here on this slide, why. Right? So 1 in 5 adults in the US experience a mental health condition in a given year. Right? And 1 out of 5 young people between the ages of 13 and 18 have experienced a mental health condition at some point in their lives. Right? So it is very, very common. There's a lot of us out there, right? And of those 1 in 5 adults, only about 60% of them get treatment, get that extra support. And for those young people, it's about 50%. So there are a lot of people out there living with mental health conditions, having some of those challenges and not receiving the support that they need and that they deserve, right? And there could be a lot of reasons for that. Does anyone have any ideas as to why that might, yeah, what do you think? Yes, all the providers have waiting lists, absolutely, right? A shortage of providers. Yeah, a shortage of providers, or maybe even access to those providers. Right? Because accessibility may be a thing, transportation, childcare. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. There is a lot of stigma around mental health, right? How are people going to treat me? What are they going to say about me? Right? If I disclose this at work, is that going to impact my ability to be able to grow within this company, within this role? Are my family members going to tell me to just suck it up, buttercup? Right? So there can be a lot of invalidation, a lot of shame, a lot of fear along with those things. And yeah.
I'm just gonna say, but I'm being scared.
Mm-hmm.
They see us our symptoms are horrid, you know, and they just breathe, or they
Yeah.
just strange. You are a little different because of what we've gone through. And so I think people want to run from.
Yeah, people might not know what to say or what to do, right? It might make them feel uncomfortable, and that's okay, right? But it's okay to be different, right? It's okay to feel how I feel, right? And the same for you. It's okay for you to feel how you feel, right? All right, very good. Thank you all so much. Thank you. So that's why it's so important we have these conversations, because the more that we talk about this, the more we get that information out about resources available, supports that are available, the more we can normalize these conversations and we really start having them like we would talk about physical health, right? Because if your friend is sick, they say they have the flu, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better. Can I bring you some soup? Right? And so we want the same thing for mental health. If I said my anxiety is really high today, Jessie, I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better soon. Can I help you out? Right? You want to go take a walk? Right? We want that same kind of response. So we're going to talk now about what we do at NAMI St. Louis, the different things that we have to offer. And the first program I'm going to talk about is our crisis intervention team training. So these are the CIT officers. We coordinate that 40-hour basic training where they can come, first responders can come, they come for an entire week and get training on mental health conditions, treatments, crisis intervention, de-escalation strategies. So they really leave this class with skills and knowledge that can equip them to respond in the community to someone living with a mental health condition or in a mental health crisis. So if you ever need to involve the police, 911, because someone is in a mental health crisis or is living with a mental health condition, you can actually request that a CIT officer respond, right? So you can say, hey, this is what's going on. I need a CIT officer, and they will dispatch that person to your location. And so in addition to that 40-hour class that we offer, we also have some advanced courses. So more information about working with youth, right? When a young person is in crisis, what does that look like? How do we help them? When a veteran is in crisis, what does that look like? How do we help them, right? So we're getting more and more of that information out there. We have something called Family and Friends, or we like to call it Mental Health 101. So this is a 2-hour seminar that we do in the community. We also offer it on our website sometimes too, where people can come and just kind of learn some basics about mental health, right? Really kind of start that conversation, mental health conditions, again, those common treatments, ways to help support that person that they care about, and ways to care for themselves while they're doing that supporting. Then we have our family to family class. And so this kind of like builds upon that mental health 101. So this is an 8-week long course. They meet once a week for 2.5 hours. And this is for family members supporting someone who's living with a mental health condition. And again, they come to learn more about those common conditions, treatments, medications, side effects to those medications. We're talking through crisis plans, making sure that there's something in place before that mental health crisis hits. We're talking about problem solving skills and how to communicate effectively. And then again, how are we taking care of ourselves in the midst of caring for somebody else? Ending the Silence is a program that we do with young people. So we go into schools and we talk to 5th graders all the way up to 12th grade about mental health. Why is it important? What do we do? How do we help ourselves? How do we help somebody else, right? We're talking about those warning signs for mental health conditions. We are talking about warning signs for suicide and the very, very specific steps that these young people can take to help themselves or somebody else. We also have presentations in this program for parents and caregivers, and then also staff that are working with young people, so that they get that same information, but they know, how am I starting this conversation with this young person that I have some concerns about? How am I involving the families, right? Or as a family, how am I advocating for my child with the school or with this organization that is serving my child? So really kind of making sure there's kind of that full wraparound service there. And then the other thing that's really unique with this program is that we bring a young adult with us. So this is someone who is 18 to 35 and shares their story of living with a mental health condition. So they talk about what were those warning signs that they experienced, right? What helped them? Was it counseling or medication or some combination? Who are their supports? What are their coping skills? And then they share what's next. Right? So what are they doing? What are those goals that they're setting? Who is helping them through their recovery? What is that looking like? Right? So it really gives these young people like a full circle picture of, yes, I've experienced these things. Here's what helped. There's a lot of things I can do to help myself and manage, right? And that my mental health condition does not have to define who I am, right? I can still do amazing, wonderful things. So as an example, I said I have anxiety, right? Couldn't even make it through a college speech class, right? I did one speech and never went back. And this is what I do every single day of my life. So, right, we can do these things. We can set goals. We can do amazing, wonderful things. In our own voice is kind of similar to ETS, where we have adults living with mental health conditions share their stories. We have two people sharing, and they kind of go back and forth, share their stories. We show some videos, but the unique part about this program is that we really encourage audience participation, discussion, questions to help people gain some insight and some knowledge into an often misunderstood topic, right? And kind of replace some of that with insight, awareness, right, and that acceptance. We have a wellness series. So this is kind of like a little lunch and learn thing that we do. It's on our website. It is the second Thursday each month. And we just invite experts from the community to come in, talk about different things. Recently, we had someone from Mercy come and talk about the link between mental health and nutrition, right? Because there definitely is a link between those things, right? So just lots of different topics for that. We do a presentation where we go into workplaces and talk with employers about how they can support their employees' mental health, and how coworkers can also support that mental health with each other, give ideas for things like that. And we do some self-care activities like a meditation during this presentation too. And then we just have some other general presentations that we offer. Anxiety, we have one on depression, we have one that's called Self-Care Isn't Selfish. One that we're doing currently is called Mental Health in the Holidays, right? What does that look like? How are we caring for ourselves? Because, right, the holidays are stressful. It gets dark very early. We're missing some sun. Like, it can be a lot of things. So yes, we offer lots of different presentations, and we are always open to developing more based on community need and our growing knowledge too with that. So our support groups. So this is something that is a NAMI signature program, one of our support groups. We offer 3 different types of these groups. We have a family group, and so that's for family members of an adult living with a mental health condition. And side note, we use the term family very loosely at NAMI St. Louis. So it is biological family, it is legal family, it is chosen family, right? You get to define what that means for you. So that's our family support group. We have our basic support group, which is for parents and caregivers of a child 19 and younger living with a mental health condition or just having some challenges with their mental health. And then we have our connection recovery group, and that is for adults living with mental health conditions themselves. And under that umbrella, we have 2 specialized groups. We have one that is LGBTQ plus folks, and then we also have one called the Connect, and that is for Black and African American men between the ages of 18 and 30. And so we are offering these, we've got some of these happening in person. We've also got a lot of them happening virtually. So again, if you know someone who would benefit from any of these, and let's say maybe they're outside of the St. Louis region or one of those counties I mentioned, it's okay that they still come. Right? Anyone is welcome to any of our virtual programming, regardless of where they live. Right? And one thing I forgot to say earlier that is also something unique about us is that everything is free. Right? Nobody pays for anything. You do not have to pay to come to these support groups. You do not have to pay to come to one of our presentations or that family to family class. Everything is completely free of charge, and it is peer led. So it's being led by, again, those people living with mental health conditions or that family member, that parent or caregiver. And then we also have a helpline. So this is kind of like a resource line that folks can call Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And just get more information about our services. If you have questions or you're not sure how to sign up or get access to stuff, give us a call. We are absolutely happy to help with that. There's also an email there, info@namistl.org. Feel free to email us there too if you prefer. I know not everyone likes to talk on the phone, and that's okay. But the other thing that we can help with on this line is we can help with resources. So if you're not sure where to go or how to start this, right, we can help with that. right? We have people call looking for counseling services. We have people call that look for doctors, lots of different things. And we're able to help connect them with different resources and our community partners like Independence Center. And then sometimes we have people call for things that are outside of our expertise, kind of outside of that mental health realm, like legal assistance, right? And so that's not necessarily something that, I know a whole lot about. But we do make sure to kind of be that bridge. So we're trying to get you to the right place where they could help that out and get you some more information on that request. So this is our website here. It's really, really small, but there at the top, it says calendar and events. That's where all of our groups, all of our programming lives. So if you click there, it'll take you to everything. Right next to that is a little tab that says support and education. And that's where you'll find more information on all the things I just talked about. If you want to learn more. So I want to take just a few minutes and talk about two of our big fundraisers. Well, they're the only fundraisers that we do each year. But we do too. Yes, there's two. So the first one is our NAMI walks. And so this is held the second weekend in May every year. It's held at Creve Coeur Lake Park, and it is a really fun day. Everyone is welcome. It is completely free of charge. It's very family friendly. It's very pet friendly. We have tons of resource tables. Last year we had this amazing balloon artist who was making like kids Spider-Mans. Out of balloons. I've never seen anything like it because I just thought, it's those little like dogs things, right? No, this man made some Spider-Man and like something like a pirate hat. I don't even know. It was so impressive. But anyway, so it was a good time. After the walk, we had hot dogs, we had chips, we had sodas. So people were able to hang out and enjoy the park too. So feel free to join us if you would like. We'd love to see you there. And then the other fundraiser that we have is actually this Saturday. It's our gala, our annual gala. So this happens in November every year down at the Chase Park Plaza. And so it's an event where we really kind of celebrate mental health champions. We give a couple of awards to some of our volunteers, to community partners who are doing really amazing, wonderful work in the St. Louis region. So that is that. And then here are some ways to get involved if you know someone who's looking to get involved and volunteer. We are a very small staff of 9 people. And so we heavily rely on our volunteers. We have an amazing group of volunteers, and we could not do the work that we do and have the impact that this work has without them. So we're always looking for presenters or people to lead our support groups or lead those classes or answer the helpline or do any of that kind of stuff. So if you know anyone who is interested or if you yourself, feel free to come find me, or you can check out our website too at namistl.org. And that is that from me. So thank you all so much. I'm going to turn things over to Jennifer. Real quick, I'm going to you. Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I have to just reconnect.
Hi, everybody. Why she's sort of working at home. She's going to be my techie. I like take this off. I'm Jennifer Higginbotham, as Lynn said, and just to give you a little bit about me, I did my undergrad in psych at Millikan University in Central Illinois, and I grew up in a small little town in Southern Illinois called Pinckneyville, about 75 miles away, and I ended up at WashU working on my MSW in social work. I used to always say I was about 12 when I started working at Independence Center, but as of this year, now I say I'm proud to be 60, and I've been there 37 years, sort of salute, right? And now working myself sort of towards that retirement in my career. I'm going to start just to follow Jessie. Okay. Yeah, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Will it go?
I just murdered people. There you go.
Yeah. So we're good now?
Yep.
Okay.
Video.
For the video.
Yeah, I'm going to. I just want to start with the video to follow Jessie's presentation. This is Bill French. He is a former board member of Independence Center, and he is a father of one of our members, and just thought we'd share a little bit of that family perspective, okay?
Homes that just suddenly are gone and end up being that home. Bought some razor blades, slashed his wrists. My name is Bill French. I am the owner of William French Buyers Real Estate Services, which is a firm that I started 36 years ago, coming this next year. Mike is my oldest son. And then I have my other son, John, and John is the person who is a member at Independence Center. Early memories of John is John was a typical kid growing up in West St. Louis County on the swim teams, on the soccer teams. Eventually went off to college, and unfortunately that first year of college did not go too well. Things just seemed to be different about John. And of course, it was the onset of mental illness. He went from what you would consider a normal, average kid to completely drawn into the depths of mental illness. And it is a difficult thing for families to really understand and to react to. He came home from college after that first year, and unfortunately things had not worked out, so he could not go back to college. And he began to isolate himself, and then suddenly one day just disappeared. We had no idea where he was. After that, the desperation really set in with us because we couldn't find him. And I began to realize that this is probably what happens to a lot of people who might be from what we consider normal homes that just suddenly are gone and end up being that homeless person on the street pushing a grocery cart. And then the watershed moment came. He went to the quick shop, bought some razor blades, slashed his wrists. And he, fortunately, took himself to St. Luke's Hospital. And at that point, it became an issue of where do we get care for him. We looked at a lot of different options, and when I say we, it was really more my son and my former wife. Somehow, she arrived at the Independence Center. And Independence Center came out and interviewed John and agreed that he was somebody who was a good candidate for their program. And the strides that he's made over that period of time have been unbelievably good. Independence Center, to him, is really everything. What you don't realize is, unless you're involved with mental illness, when a person's mentally ill, our society disenfranchises them. They become outsiders, and they don't have friends, and they don't have a home. You know, fortunately for John, I have some means. Many, many people at Independence Center have no means, have no family support. Without Independence Center, they would be lost. I mean, they would be on the street, and there's no safety net for them. If I were to ask John what Independence Center means to him, he would say it's his home. I know the principle behind Independence Center is restoring lives. In our case, it was saving a life, and then having a life. I can't better express the need to support Independence Center than I can just from my own personal experience this Christmas. I asked my son John what he would like for Christmas. He said, "Give money to Independence Center for me." He didn't want anything. He wanted that money to go to Independence Center. He just loves the people over there.
Okay. Am I good again? Sorry about the ask part of that. Bill actually did that for one of our fundraisers, however many years ago. And what I will tell you is that John is alive and well and still living in independent center housing. He still has severe anxiety and struggles to leave that apartment sometimes. But his dad actually passed away from COVID a year or two ago. And but John just came to visit me, actually came into the clubhouse. He might have just stayed for 10 minutes, but he was there. And we have a lunch date at the clubhouse coming up. So he's doing very well. And his dad would be very proud. But I want to keep his dad sort of alive in this work as well. So Independence Center actually was started by a group of family members, the couples here on the screen, and they were all a part of NAMI in the very beginning. So I've been connected to both organizations for a really long time. NAMI even had an office at Independence Center for a short time in the early years. But our mission is to provide all the services and whatever resources a person that's been diagnosed with a mental illness needs to manage their symptoms, to deal with their illness, but most important, to find belonging and to find purpose again, and to gain that independence to live their best lives. We've been at this as a nonprofit, private community health organization for 41 years now. We serve adults that are 18 and up with that diagnosis of a serious mental illness like schizophrenia, major depression, bipolar, anxiety disorder, and PTSD. We are mainly funded by Medicaid. It pretty much pays for everything we do. Medicare pays for our clinical services, but we want to be able to serve people regardless of their ability to pay. Nobody pays anything when they come to Independence Center either. Those services are free to them. So we do have our signature Dancing with the St. Louis Stars that will be in January on the 14th at the Ritz-Carlton. And we do private fundraising with donors and corporations, and we write a lot of grants. A lot of our grants right now are focused on seniors, 55 plus, that also have a serious mental illness. But we have also started walk-in hours. So if you need to refer somebody to Independence Center, you can call the number on the screen. We set up an appointment. Somebody will meet with them, do an assessment, learn what their needs are, and connect them to one of our services or all of our services. But people can also walk in on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday mornings, and they can begin to get connected and get the help they need. Our clinical services include our IC Health Group, Independence Center Health Group, which is actually an outpatient psychiatric clinic. We work with WashU board certified psychiatrists. We have a couple of counselors that do one-on-one counseling and group counseling. And we are working to implement something called the integrated treatment for co-occurring disorders, because we see so many people that are also struggling with addictions, with substance use disorders. And we have a very nice collaboration with West Pine Pharmacy, which is called STL Pharmacy, and members can end up actually getting their prescriptions. So they will be able to see a doctor, they can see a counselor, they can hang out in our clubhouse and get their prescriptions all in a one-stop shop. Community support is really a traditional case management, and those staff work with about 25 or 30 of our members, and they really help connect them to resources. They help connect them to benefits, to find housing, take people to the doctor, help make sure that they have their medications, that they understand their medications, and really help them with whatever goals they have set for themselves towards recovery. But what makes Independence Center unique is the clubhouse model approach to psychosocial rehabilitation. And its core components are helping people return to work, return to school, find housing, socialization, and wellness. I guess I'll keep sliding. I'm having trouble seeing everything, Jessie, but the clubhouse model approach to recovery, the people that end up being diagnosed, and Jessie talked about this a bit, the devastating effects that they experience, because most people are diagnosed in their late teens and in their early 20s. And so your whole life is really just disruptive and sort of thrown for a loop. You often lose your friends don't know what to do, they don't know what to say, your family doesn't either, you might become estranged, you might become unhoused. And so the clubhouse is really there as a community within the larger community to help restore members back to sort of that normal stream of life. But we're very focused on the shift from pathology to possibility, and from patient to member. So when somebody walks in a clubhouse community, we basically want them to leave that patient label and diagnosis at the door or actually on the sidewalk. And when they cross that threshold, we want people to be member of a clubhouse where they are contributing, they're using their talents, they're using their strengths, they're getting involved, they had some ownership in helping run the program and helping run the business. We say that we're not therapy, but it's certainly a therapeutic program. What do most of us do every day from Monday till Friday until we're retired or until we win that jackpot lottery, right? We work. And so that's exactly what we want to create for our members, is a community that is structured around work so people can find that routine and can build their confidence as they're volunteering for work in the clubhouse and being appreciated and thanked for their contributions and for helping. And the relationships that we have are very important and also unique in the clubhouse because they are non-hierarchical, they are reciprocal, and they're really work mediated. We use the work in the clubhouse to build the relationship. You know, it's a lot easier for me to get to know one of you while we're mashing potatoes and cooking Thanksgiving dinner or working on a project together than when we try to get to know each other in a more, like, say, the counselor-patient kind of relationship, right? And then once I've built those relationships, I can use that to end up getting the work done. And it's also the only psychosocial rehab program that I know that people are actually helping each other. One of our members always said that he did a lot of traditional programs. He went to a lot of group therapy. He learned how to cope. He learned about his meds. He had the doctor. He had the community support worker. But when he came into the clubhouse, he could actually help somebody else and feel good about that too. It was peer support before the term even became popular decades ago. Our founding director always said that work is the glue that binds us to society. So once people get connected into that work order day piece of the clubhouse, which is really our intervention, the self-confidence grows, the self-esteem grows, and we can end up helping people return to work at regular places of business. We call transitional employment, or TE, provides the highest level of support where we work with businesses in the community. Our staff go out and learn the jobs. We go train the members on the job. We go check in once a week to make sure things are going well. And usually people do maybe 2 or 3 of those transitional job experiences in different industries. And then we can help them with their resume, help them find competitive, permanent employment. We have staff that are skilled at job development, that are benefit specialists, that can help people budget and figure out what's going to happen with their Social Security and their Medicaid and their Medicare when they go to work. Decide about that disclosure piece that Jessie mentioned earlier. Am I going to tell my employer that I have bipolar disorder, or am I going to keep that to myself? And then we provide a lot around the job supports, including a monthly dinner where members can come in and be around other people that are working and share the challenges and celebrate all of their successes. And you can see that actually our members made almost $4 million working out in the community last year, and they worked 255,000 hours. But we believe that education is just as important. And we are very fortunate to have a grant through the Sidney Bear Foundation. Actually, Sidney Bear was from the Sticks Bear and Fuller that some of you remember, like I do. And he had schizophrenia and he was unable to finish his education. And that's why this is what his foundation is all about. And in the past year, 70 of our members were awarded scholarships through this program to the tune of over $150,000. And we're helping people return to high school. You can see actually this is David and Terry that actually I attended both of their graduations when they got their bachelor's degrees at Fontbonne. Brian's going to tell you a little bit about what he is doing with his education goals. And we actually had one of our members just a few months ago, Pearl, in her 60s, got her high school diploma. So it's never too late, right? We also want to make sure that we are providing safe, decent, and affordable housing. And shoot, now it's harder than ever. And we do that through some of our own bricks and mortar and working with landlords in the community. Currently, we own 71 units of our own housing. 2 are independent properties, 2 are residential care facilities that are licensed by the Department of Health and Senior Services. They have 24-hour staff. People get their medications. There's some nursing, 3 meals a day. Those folks are coming into the clubhouse or going to work or going to school and have a productive routine. Everybody pays about their third of their income towards their rent. And in our current strategic plan, I'm going to know by the end of the year, we are hoping to build a 38-unit building right next door to our clubhouse program on Forest Park, focused on our members that are 55 plus, which will also then open up other housing in a couple of these buildings for some of our younger adults. So cross your fingers for me. 2024 is what we hope. We work hard during the day. The clubhouse also has a social program, but we're not playing bingo at 10 in the morning, and we're not going to the movies at 2. We're working from 8 to 4, and the social piece happens when the rest of us do it, after work, in the evenings, on the weekends. We have a drama therapist that's working with a group that we call the IC Players, and it's like an 8-week course, and then they put on a performance. We've had members run writer circles, members that are artists run little art groups. And actually members and staff decide together what's going to be on that social calendar. But the other piece I'm really proud of is that we celebrate the holidays on the holiday. Most programs will celebrate Thanksgiving on Wednesday, and then staff go home to their families. We will walk into our clubhouse program at 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, and hopefully they're going to be over 200 people in person, finally, after the past 3 years. And we're going to serve a Thanksgiving dinner with white tablecloths and fresh flowers and restaurant style with dignity and respect. And we want to really, part of that is that we want to make sure that people have a place to go. Some people go two or three places and they do have family, but some people don't have the friends or that place to go. And we want to make sure that we're open when people need us, and not just Monday through Friday. We also want to pay attention to that physical health and wellness piece. I think Jess mentioned this too, but we know that people with serious mental illness die sooner than the general population. We know the medications that people take can cause diabetes and weight gain and high cholesterol and all kinds of things. So we actually have our own little mini gym in the clubhouse. We've got the workout equipment, we've got the treadmills, and we've got the bikes, and we have a dance studio that's seen here on the screen that people are doing Tai Chi. One of our members used to do meditation classes. We have members and staff that run a smoking cessation class to help people quit smoking, and we're trying to help people lose weight and manage that diabetes. Really working with the whole person. We also just want you to know that we also have a clubhouse shop. This is part of our work order day, one of our work units. We're a little bit upscale. I always say I donate some of my stuff to St. Vincent de Paul or to Goodwill, and then I take my better stuff to Independence Center. We sell a lot of furniture. We're open Monday through Friday, trying to be open up again on Saturday by the beginning of next year, but we can pick up a donation at your home if you want to schedule that ahead of time, or you can drop it off when we're open. Also want you to know that we're part of a membership organization called Clubhouse International. They are all about expanding clubhouses worldwide. The ideal would be that if somebody is diagnosed with schizophrenia, that they would have a clubhouse in their local community where they could find hope and a place of belonging and a place to find their purpose again. We're one of 12 international training bases that Clubhouse International oversees. They also do an accreditation program. Some of us are on the faculty to do that quality assurance against the fidelity of the model to make sure that other clubhouses are adhering to the standards that we've adopted. This model has been listed on the SAMHSA registry as an evidence-based practice. There are 5 accredited clubhouses in our state of Missouri, but Independence Center is the only one in the St. Louis area. Show a little bit on the map. They're in every continent except for Antarctica and in 32 or 33 countries around the world. But there's still just about 330 of us. And we want to try to double and try to, triple that. And that's what Clubhouse International and their advocacy is working on. Just a little bit of the impact and the outcomes. Basically, we know from the research that Clubhouse members have reduced rates of going to the hospital, less people go into jail, it reduces healthcare cost, it promotes longer tenure on jobs, and it actually improves the quality of life, both mentally and physically. And I think what the difference is, sort of what I alluded to earlier, is that the Clubhouse model gives people a community. You could have the doctor, you can have the counselor, you can have the social worker and the meds, and all of those things are important and we support it. And it's why we added all of those services. But the clubhouse gives you a place where people understand you, where people know your name, and where you can get involved and feel good about yourself and make that connection. We've also started using actually a World Health Organization quality of life survey to get more outcome data to be able to really truly show the impact of what we do. Ways that you can get involved at Independence Center. Of course, you can donate, but you can also give us connections to more employers that will give people the opportunity to return to work. If any of you know landlords or you're landlords yourself, we're always looking for good, landlords in the community. You could set up another speakers bureau event like this that we can actually help spread that public awareness that when somebody has a mental health disorder or has a loved one that does, that that we are a resource along with NAMI. You can become a customer or a donor at our store, and you can just become an ambassador and spread the word, and we invite you to come for a tour to learn more. Okay, I think I am going to skip the last video, because I want Brian to be able to share his story with you and take the last 10 minutes or so to do that before we open it up, okay? Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. My name is Brian Weddington. I'm 51 years old. And I was born to a shotgun wedding to an alcoholic, cheating father. And abuse and dysfunction was very common. That marriage lasted about 5 years. And my mother's second marriage wasn't much better. He was in a physically abusive Vietnam veteran. And PTSD was there all the time. So I got bounced around to my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, which all didn't like each other either. I remember going to counseling when I was around 8 or 9 years old, not only from physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. It was all around. And I started drinking at a very young age, about 12, drinking with my grandfather. And during my teen years, I started doing drugs. In middle school, I had my own flask. The drinking and drugging, and I couldn't stop. But when I was 20 years old, I ended up starting a band, and the band lasted for 25 years. And with that band, we had the music, we had women, we had drugs. I also ended up with hepatitis C, cirrhosis. I thought I found the love of my life in my wife. With the addiction and alcohol, I found divorce. I lost 3 houses, 2 cars, and so many relationships that I can't count. There were so many deaths that funerals were just an every other day word. It felt like I lost 14 friends in 2 years from drugs. And it just seemed like it just kept happening. It just kept happening. And you don't know what rock bottom is until you hit it. And it hits hard. And it almost took my life because I tried to take it. I didn't know what it was like to be happy, healthy, or whole. I was just a ball of mess that was addicted to anything under the sun. My drug of choice was, what do you got? Because it didn't matter. So after I fell off or jumped, they don't know which, off the page in Woodson Bridge, I ended up in DePaul Hospital. And in DePaul Hospital, I met Charlie Friesmeyer, who is an emergency room receptionist for the Independence Center. And I didn't know what the Independence Center was, had no idea. And the only thing that Charlie had said to me is, what do you need? And I didn't know. And I never had anybody just ask me, what do you need? So I said, well, I sat on my glasses the other day. And about 3 hours later, Charlie shows up with a pair of glasses so I could read. And he was like, he tried to explain the Independence Center, but I wasn't having it because I was in detox and there was no point in talking to me at that point. So I ended up stepping into the light down at 13th and Hebert, very bad neighborhood. But it's not where the building is, it's what you get out of the building itself. And Charlie came and got me about once a week, and we would go to Crown Candy or we would go to Forest Park just for a little outing. So I'm out of that building because the building was it was very dilapidated. And there was a lot of drug use still going on, even though it was a rehabilitation center. So I move in with my cousin, and Charlie comes over to my cousin's house, still checking up on me. And he said, there's this place I want you to try out. And I was like, well, of course I trusted him by this point. He said, it's called the Clubhouse. And he was like, I'm going to schedule you a tour, and I want you to show up for me. So I went the first day. I came in and I said that I was here for a tour. Well, I went in the middle of what we call a street level, and I sat down while they were having their morning meeting. Well, I heard what they were talking about. It sounded interesting. Well, the first person I met was Naomi, who was the supervisor of the street level. And she put me in contact with Daryl Howard, and he gave me a tour of the Independence Center. And you never forget the person who gives you your tour. Ever. So Daryl Howard, me and him are still friends. He gave me the tour. If you're not, it's a 3-story building, if you guys don't know, and there's quite a bit of stuff in one building. So I went home, and I was like, he's like, you gonna sign up for orientation? And I didn't know yet, but I did anyway. So the next day I learned how to use public transportation. I had never ridden a bus before. What an exciting adventure, let me tell you. So I get down to the Independence Center, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I went through orientation, and I never stopped going. Now, a couple of things have happened since I've been a member. I try to be as active as possible. Now I can only go once a week. I live in one of their facilities, which is in the middle of Maplewood. Lovely Maplewood. I love Maplewood. I never lived there. I always wanted to live there, and it's so nice. And I live right across the hall from John French, in fact. Yeah, right across the hall. It's a community. It's family. It's togetherness. It's that happy, healthy, and whole, which I had lost. I didn't have all that, and now I have it. And I changed my playmates, my playthings, and my playgrounds. That's exactly what I did. So I live at Lohmeyer. I go through psychiatric care and counseling. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and ADHD. And then to wake up and just wish that the day was over. I don't feel like that anymore. It's very odd. And I became a Missouri State peer specialist last October. I haven't done anything with it because I got my high school equivalency and ended up going to UMSL, which is where I'm now. I'm in my second year, and next semester I am studying abroad in Limerick, Ireland.
Oh.
The Sydney Bear Foundation is helping me get to study abroad. So, psychology with a minor in counseling. And the reason I got this, 2 years ago, I would not have thought that this is what I would be doing. So believe that. And the psychology counseling came from the Independence Center because they have done so much for me, and I feel like that I just need to give back. It's just now I have that generosity in my heart. It's not about a paycheck. It's about helping someone else. I thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you for having us. I'm really pleased to be here.
I'm sure you have. But if you're in our Zoom meeting, put them in the chat. Brennan will make certain that it's asked. And anyone else in the room, come up, state your name, and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Barbara Finch. I would just like a little explanation of the kind of work that happens in the clubhouse.
And can you jump up there for the kids? Sorry, and repeat because they can't hear the question.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
The question was, can you describe the work that's available in the clubhouse? It's really all volunteer work. I often say that people are volunteering as part of their rehab, but we also call it the voluntary nature. So no one is made to do anything. But when you walk in our door, what usually happens when you walk into a business, there's a receptionist, right? We have a group of members that are acting as receptionists, and they're signing people in and they're greeting people. When they sign people in, that actually goes to Medicaid and it goes to our building. You wander down the hall and there's a whole area at the street level piece where the work area that Brian hangs out in. They're helping to track data for employment. They're working on the education component. They're in charge of being tour guides and touring all of the visitors that come in and out of our clubhouse every day. They're in charge of orientation and orienting new members. If you go down, they're also learning to be gym assistants in the wellness center. You go upstairs and they're running a small flower shop. The idea being not to make money, but to help to take flowers. If there is a death, somebody's in the hospital, somebody got an apartment, we take a new plant. There's a copy center that's just a little bit like Office Depot, where they're making business cards that you'll see mine in the back, where they're making the Welcome Center flyers that are in the back. They do a monthly newsletter. And then we have a commercial kitchen that members and staff, probably the best description is that they choose the monthly menu. They order the food side by side together. They bring it in off the truck and up a dumbwaiter, and they put it away in the fridge and the freezer. They cook it, they serve it, they make the monthly menus. We do that restaurant style with dignity and respect as well. So when I go up for lunch, I sit down, there's a menu on the table. On the back of it, there's news that the copy center put together. Members are waiting on me. They're doing a ticket. They're taking it to the kitchen. They're serving me, and the dishes get done, and I pay at the register that is also operated by a member. Members and staff are also working in the store, going out in the truck to pick up the donations, processing it, pricing it, being on the floor, being at the register, greeting customers. It's really sort of hard to describe until you actually walk through and you do a tour. But people are doing all of those jobs just in a normalized community rather than sitting in a room to learn job skills. They're learning it by doing it. One of our members, a good example, he came in for, I don't know how many years, and he loved science fiction books, and he read in a corner for I don't know how long. And then we got him started helping with a member deposit account and some accounting. The next thing you know, I encouraged him to do the program report that would go to the board, and he started liking data. And then he became a tour guide, and he started giving tours to new people coming in the door. And he never would have imagined doing that. This was the introvert that likes science fiction books in the corner. He is now our tour guide at the St. Louis Gateway Arch. And he has been given, I don't know, promotions and awards, and took acting classes to do this. And yeah, so if you're ever down at the Arch, ask for Steve White. He'll be happy to give you a tour. Does that help a little bit? All right.
We had a friend who came to Toronto, and her son was living in St. Louis, and he was in crisis. I called everywhere trying to find help. No, are the independent. Two questions. Is there a waiting center, and can you be involuntarily put in the independent?
Yeah. Good question. So I'm really sorry, for starters, that nobody told you about Independent Center or NAMI, and that's why we're out here and doing this together. So we are not the best kept secrets in town, especially when you need us, right? And then the other question was the waiting list at Independent Center. Basically, you could come in tomorrow and get a tour and start an orientation on Monday to become a member. Probably about 2 weeks out to see a psychiatrist. We also have a couple of nurse practitioners. I'm not sure what the wait time is for the counselor, but usually people can at least start with the clubhouse and then get the other services they need. And we are trying to assign community support workers to those who need them, more that case management, within a week or so. Okay, so we have openings because people come and go, and they go to work, and new people come in, and that kind of thing. Was there another question after that? I forgot. Oh, that piece. Yeah. It is totally voluntary. There are not locked doors. It's not like the psychiatric unit. It was actually designed to be the opposite of an institution back in the day when people were sent there to live the rest of their lives. We want to be everything opposite of that.
Until I heard about you through Lynn with Women's Voices, having been a high school counselor and a principal and very much into mental health, I had never heard of you. Thank goodness I have now. What kind of support services do you have families as you have members at Independence Center? So how do you work with families?
I call NAMI. We're partners in this crime, partners in the deed, but when parents, when mothers, when family members call me, I say, you need to call NAMI. They have these great classes. They have support groups. You go hang out with other moms, with other families, and you learn from them, because we're serving the adult and we're serving members. So their family is not coming along, their kids aren't coming along, but that's why we collaborate so well together.
Francis,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, nice to meet you, Karen. I'm actually now a mother too. I forgot to tell you that. My son was actually diagnosed with bipolar about 3 years ago. So now I know all sides of the coin. Go ahead. Hi.
is in summer. And do you provide transportation in any way?
Both good questions. Oh, and I have to repeat it again. Okay, as Independence Center, only open to Missouri residents. Basically, we serve folks that live in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, sort of within that 270 loop, because there are other community mental health providers out in St. Charles or down south. There is a clubhouse in Farmington that's part of BJC Behavioral Health. There's a clubhouse in St. Peters. There's one out in Washington, and the other one is on the Kansas City side, connected to other organizations. Mostly because most people have Medicaid that reimburses us for services. So we couldn't take the Illinois Medicaid, and there are no clubhouses in Illinois. There are a lot of other programs, and we've tried to do that advocacy, but that's sort of one of my goals, pre-retirement. We'll see what happens. And what was the other question? Did I miss one? Transportation. Do we provide transportation? Most of the people come to Independence Center on public transportation on the bus after they learn how to do that. Some members use something called Call a Ride that is also through Metro, that is a door-to-door service for people that need that, and we help connect them with that. Many people drive their own cars. A lot of people live in the neighborhood and they walk. But we did just hire 2 of our members that are working as part-time van drivers. And right now we're going out to pick up people that are in other boarding homes or residential care facilities, where they often have 3 or 4 roommates and a community bathroom down the hall. And we're trying to pick those folks up to get them in so they're isolating less. So we're starting to do some transportation. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry. My name is Nancy Coetzee, and
Brian.
we just received something like 30, is it 30?
Yeah.
$30 million grant, big national.
Yes.
And also they have a longer, big monthly same slides. And they were very proud of a book called You're Not Alone, which just came out. And I think until December, that if you donate to NAMI, they'll match your donation. If you donate to $50, it'll be $100 to $200 in each.
Do you want to?
Yeah, so that
You
would
need
be-
to come
yeah.
up.
Hi everyone. No, that's okay. Yeah. Sorry, my brain. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes. So our national organization did receive a gigantic donation of like was it 30 million? I think it's a lot. Yes, and then they also have been doing like a matching through December. So that is for the national organization. And some of that does kind of trickle down to the state organizations and the local. I will say everything that NAMI St. Louis raises at all of our fundraisers stays here in the St. Louis region and helps us be able to kind of do those different things. Yeah, but the national organization, I've heard wonderful things about the book. I have yet to read it myself. But they've recently just published a book called You Are Not Alone. Lots of great info on their website too. So if you're ever looking for more information or you just kind of want to look at, different information about different mental health conditions, they have really great like infographics too on there too. Just a lot of really great stuff that the national organization's offering for sure. Yeah. And I think some of that money, from what I know, and I hope I'm okay saying this, but some of them that donation, part of that is to expand and like updates the signature program. So the Ending the Silence program, the different support groups that we have to offer, the family to family class. So really making sure that those things are updated, culturally relevant, all of that. Yeah. Anybody else?
Questions? Any more on Zoom? No? Okay.
I guess, these are, was another.
Did you share that stuff before? I can't remember. Okay, sorry.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and hearing Brian's story and hopefully learning a little bit about both of us. I'm glad that some people did not know about us and something. And I would, if you are interested and you would like to take a tour of Independence Center and learn more, you can always shop in our shop on the way in or down. We can also have you so you can certainly see. Welcome to Just Country. Thank you for your time very much. Thank you.